So, guys, I'm really excited about this guy. James and I met in Florida about a month ago, and we did like a small little talk when we had some time, and he was one of the speakers on there. And so, him and I were talking, and I'm very blessed. Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. Charlie, good morning. Terry, good morning. Wendy, good morning. I always like when people say good morning. So make sure in the chat you guys are saying good morning to us. And if you're new, make sure you tell us where you're from and what you all about and what you got going on. Because we always like to be able to, you never know if there's somebody from your hometown or whoever's on here. So for those that don't know me, my name is Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a dad. And we have another dad that's going to be speaking with us today. I'm very blessed and fortunate that I get to meet people and talk and hear people's stories that just blow my mind, just absolutely blow my mind. And James today is going to share with us where he's gone, where he started, and some of the stories he's going to say to you guys today. Like, I want you guys to know, like, as I shared with you, the last people who've been on here, we've been doing this now for a little bit over a month with different people that we bring on here. Like, this triggers our back of our head. This triggers our past. This triggers like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about this in a while. So anytime you get an opportunity to give a heart, give a thumbs up, to show emotion, we really appreciate that, because some of the stuff that we say is not easy. And some of the stuff that he was telling me yesterday, I was like, whoa, 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 James, say that again to me. Like, that happened. And to just like, it's just crazy where people come from and the adversity that they go through. And then to hear what he does now and where he's grown is just remarkable. And so I'm not going to steal all the thunder. I'm not going to, let it all out. I want James to share with us here. So good morning, Nicole and Scott, for all those that are on here. So James, welcome, brother. How you doing, man?
Oh man, I'm blessed, brother. It's good to be here, Brock, and it's good to see everybody. Beautiful faces there. I even recognize a few faces in the crowd, so it's good to see everybody.
That's awesome, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate you sharing what you shared with me yesterday. And I said, man, if I could just echo this and record this now. But I know I might interrupt you a couple times just because some of the things that you said to me was like, just, it was mind blowing to me. But I want you to kind of just, this is what we do on here. You could talk spiritual, you can talk whatever you want. This is a transparency type of place because we all go through some sort of challenge, some sort of issue, something that we have on here we go through. And so I want you to be as vulnerable as you feel comfortable being, and, just share with us kind of how it all started with you and where you are today and your path, man.
Absolutely. No, honored to be on this morning with you all, and hopefully give you a little dose of vitamin B, a little boost of something that you may need that gets you through the day. And I was telling Brock yesterday, it all started in Flint, Michigan. So if you guys have ever heard of the city Flint, it's usually for not the most famous. Well, it's infamous in that, you heard a story of the bad water and, high homicide. In fact, there's a Netflix special called Flint Town where they talk about the police force gets turned over about every 3 to 6 months because there's so many homicides in that city at any given night. Any given night, there's multiple homicides. So that's where I grew up. That was the hometown. And when I grew up there, oh, hey, somebody else from Michigan. Awesome. Good to know you, Greg. So it's one of those things that I was telling Brock, as I would go to school as a kid, we had nothing growing up. This was in the 70s. Yes, I'm that young. I know I don't look it, but that 52-year mark just hit on Tuesday this year. So, but child
Happy
of the
birthday,
70s,
brother.
baby. Thank you. And so what I would do though is I would go to school. I would walk to school back when it was safe to do that, right? And I would get jumped. I would get bullied. I would get beat up. I got rocks thrown at me and stuff, dude. I would come home multiple times with just big old welts in the eyes, blood right on my nose. Mom, what happened? I'm like, the boys don't like me, Mom. They don't like my shoes. They don't like my outfits. They don't like what I, wearing. And I just assumed that, if these kids didn't like me, everybody didn't like me, right? And how many times do we have a story from our past that carries forward even into this present day? And so I had to work through a lot of issues. But I got to the point where we were in predominantly African American neighborhood, and we were the only white family around, and we were getting death threats. We were getting the rocks thrown through the windows, like the prank calls. So that's when you have those people that call you and say, "Hey, if you don't move, we're gonna have something bad happen to you guys." And one night, something bad did happen when us kids were all down for the night. Mama had just put all of us kids to bed, and she had laid down. All of a sudden, she heard my brother crying, and she woke up to the house full of smoke. The mom and her just like, "Oh my God, my babies, right?" One thing I forgot to tell you, Brock, she was expecting my little sis. So mom was 6 months
Wow.
pregnant. She has three of us kids, expecting number four, and she's waking up to a house full of smoke. Where she went out to the front of the house to try to go out, front door's barricaded, all in flames. They had used accelerant and barricade materials to barricade the front door. We couldn't get out the front, couldn't get out the back. So she's freaking out here a little bit there. If you've never seen how destructive fire can be, it is a pretty nasty thing. It can go up in quick fashion. And she was all of a sudden just like fight or flight. Like, I got to get my babies out of here. So thankfully, she got in my room. She opened the window. We were in a one-story house. She got me outside. She goes, run across the street, call 911. And I ran, little 6-year-old legs running as fast as I can, going across the street to the old neighbor across the street. And I said, "Hey, we need help." And they were like, "Oh my gosh, you stay here, son." And I'm thinking this whole morning, this whole time, and all this playing out, I'm watching my house go up in flames. We don't have much to begin with, so everything we own is consumed in this fire. I'm thinking my brother, my sister, my mom, everybody's gone. And it was just a very traumatic thing. And so with some Brock, I said, sometimes in the face of most adverse situation, that's when the best of life comes out. And is wild because we were reconnected later and stuff. Obviously, mom got us out safely and stuff. But I literally say to anybody who listens, hey, my mom really truly saved my life. I'm not here only but by the grace of God. And something really challenged happened in that moment where somebody didn't like us to the point they wanted to kill us. And it kind of threw me a curveball for many years later, where all times when I've gotten through adverse situation, I'm like, how much of this is directed towards me because somebody doesn't like me, somebody doesn't appreciate me, something doesn't approve of me, or my economic standards, or whatever. And I had to work through a lot of that stuff. But what it does, I think, in the crucible of the fire, some of the best stuff came out, because I was telling Brock, we didn't have much to begin with. And I remember the next day going through ashes trying to find a toy, stuff, nothing. It was totally eviscerated. And this was in that summer. We went through about 5 months of living in back of hotels, living in back of my dad's shop, really tough stretches there. But somebody had told the Shriner group about our family that Christmas, and it was a couple days before Christmas. And this is what kind of brings me to what I do today, is this group of men with the funny hats, the big burly guys, hey, we're, coming in, Mr. and Mrs. Sharp. We have heard that you guys have gone through a little tough stretch. We want to bring you a little Christmas joy. And they brought us a Christmas tree, guys, which we didn't have. They brought us tons of bags of groceries, which we weren't. I mean, we were on government subsidies. I was telling Brock, food stamps, welfare, the government cheese, the cheese that doesn't melt, when you try to get corn flakes that minus the corn, so they're just taste like cardboard cereal, the dry milk and stuff, just to sustain ourselves, just to survive. And these guys, these, merchants of mercy, if you will, they came in there and they brought each of us kids an outfit and a pair of new shoes. And Dee knows, and some others on this call, like, I have a flavor for helping others, and I want to help kids, and I want to help families and stuff, especially if they're going through challenged moments there. And this group of men turned my whole world upside down, because if you think about it, up to the first 6 years of my life, I thought everybody was out to get me. I thought people didn't like me for my economic standards, my color of my skin, just where I came from. And then, to the point where they wanted to kill me. Then the other side was, then there's these guys, didn't know from Adam, never saw them again, who didn't know our family, but they want to bless us, and they wanted to do it in a way where, it was just, hey, it was the right thing to do. So often in life, I would say, what are those moments for you guys where you might have a little adversity, a little challenge? Where's the spine need to be strengthened a little bit? What also, if we got a bunch of blessings now, what can we do to pay it forward? Does that make sense? So fast forward, I told Brock, I run a shoe foundation now in Dallas, Texas. It's called Sharp Shoes, and it's my ministry now to kind of pay what these guys did 40 plus years ago for our family. And I've now impacted over 20,000 kids and families with new shoes like these guys did, because up to that point, I never had anything new. So have a new outfit, new pair of shoes, the white Converse. I told Brock, I said, I remember them like it was yesterday. And anytime I see a white pair of Converse, I'm like, oh man, it brings me back. So
That's awesome,
something
man. I
about that
loved hearing that
moment.
part when you said sharp shoes. I was like, damn, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah. So my last name is Sharp, and the shoes have just been synonymous. And, was looking for the name for my charity. I said, yeah, it would be cool to do something with my last name and Sharp that just kind of connects the dots. And I tell you what, guys, I'm in real estate in Dallas, Texas, and I've been doing real estate for a number of years now. And economically, I have changed my thinking over the years. So I didn't come into this world with the best of thinking. I felt I was the victim. Why, mama, is everybody picking on me? Why are they beating me up? Why is I'm getting bullied so much? And then I started to turn around and instead of the victim, I make it the victor. Why am I having such success? Because I changed my mindset, and I got around some really great people, and I got around some coaching and some outside of me influences like the Tony Robbins and the Zig Ziglars and the Brian Tracy's and Jim Rohns, and even a gentleman in the real estate world called Brian Buffini, who I'm a big proponent of him. So that's kind of a little bit of my insights of where I came from. And, as we're going through this next, 12 to 18 months, we're all going to face similar challenges or new challenges that we probably haven't faced before. And I was telling Brock, one of my biggest things for, giving you guys a little, vote of confidence, if you will, a little win in the back, is that, in the worst of times, there is a lot of opportunity there. And so to me, it's just how you approach it. Do you want to be the victim, or do you want to be the victor?
So one of the things that struck me, though, okay, you talked about the financial part of where you were,
Yeah.
but share with us, because we got some time here. Share with us, like, I'm a single dad, and
Yep.
I'm in a relationship with Wendy, and my family's around, and I got, I'm fortunate that my kid's mom's near me, so like we do split the kids. So like when I'm a single dad, like I have some people and resources around me to help me. So I'm not completely like, oh, woe is Brock, but like it is hard for those that raise your kids on your own. But for what you told me, what happened when you got your three kids at the ages, I believe you said 2, 3, and 4, you literally were a single dad raising your kids on your own and still trying to do real estate and trying to like make it in life. Share with us a little bit about those life experiences of that journey, because that floored me as well. I was like, I told you yesterday, I said, man, when I want to complain about Bryce and this, I'm like, I just deal with Bryce for 2 more days, and then I bring him over to Laura. So what am I complaining? Like, Brock, get your head out of your ass and like freaking do it, man. I'm like, James did it for freaking years by himself. So gotta share with me a little bit about that, because I thought that was phenomenal, that period of your time.
Well, and I appreciate that. And, again, life gives you opportunities there. You can, choose to face it, or you choose to run from it there. So when I got into real estate, it was an interesting experience too, because I knew always in my heart I wanted to do a business. I want to have a big enterprise, if you will. I want to have enough economic impact that I could ever, I could have a different outcome than what my parents put us through. My mom and dad did the best they could with what they had. They came from a generation, 7 generations of hand to mouth, hard workers, blue collar and stuff there, but nobody's had really any significant economic success in my whole lineage. So I wanted to do something different. And my calling to real estate was just was a near death experience. But when I got into real estate, I knew that, I found my niche, and then when I found my coach at Brian Buffini, he was always approaching it as, hey, this is a business there, and any business really, but specific to real estate, it's a relationship business. It's about who knows you in such a way and how they know you and trust you to be their trusted advisor. So I know you guys got some other entities here, not all real estate professionals, but if you're in insurance and in, legal, or you're banking, or CPA, whatever, it doesn't matter. Your people need to know that you care about them and that they can trust you. So when I got the kids, it was like I have 3 kids in a matter of 4 years. So it sounded like a great idea, right? Anyone else has kids on there? It's like, oh yeah, let's have a mess of kids, all right? And then life hits you, because all of a sudden it's like, man, I got to pay for these kids, dude. They want food with their meals. They want to eat. God bless it, the nerve. Oh, and Pampers, don't even get me started. Having all 3 in Pampers, all where I'm prodigy to, Procter and Gamble, for the diapers, just keeping them in diapers. But, what I started doing is I started, like every professional, when, I start a new thing, I'm like, well, I want to learn about it and grow it and stuff, and then try different things, what works and what doesn't. But, in real estate, you can write a lot of checks for everything and not have a lot of checks with your name on it. In fact, I was 6 months in this business, real estate, thinking, man, I don't know if I got the right, chops to stick with this. And then, I have the new kids, I'm a newly married guy, I got all the stresses of life there. And any of this sound familiar to anybody else? Or is it just me? So, I was going through, but I was like, no, when there's a will, there's a way. And basically, what I said, and I heard this from a great mentor, he's like, if you want stuff out of life you've never had, you got to do stuff you've never done. Does that make sense? And so I started doing stuff I never did. I started, calling people and just say, hey, I want to be, I'm going to be in your area. Can I drop off a little, bag of cookies? I want to do a little Popeye. I want to see you. Relationships are key right now. And going into 2023, guys, it's no different. In fact, we just come off a couple of years of being sequestered, being stuck in quarantine, and you can't talk to people, stay 6 feet away, get masked up, all this stuff. And people are clamoring for this more than ever. And I just leaned into my relationships, and I leaned into, what I was needing to do, which was to really get people to know and trust me as their trusted advisor. And I built up this business. And so as fate would have it there, I had, newly married, 3 kids, going with this new career. And all of a sudden, me and the wifey didn't match up always in the best of things. And so we divorced in 2006. And then all of a sudden, it was really another moment in my time where I had to, face the crucible of, the heat coming on. It's like, I have to provide for these kids, which I brought in, I always committed to do, plus keep my business afloat, plus then provide my own house. Does that make sense? And so all of a sudden, then all these challenges and stuff. And I would tell you, he won't give you stuff unless you can handle it. And so of the making Amen. Of this challenge and divorce and all this stuff, and a lot of self-doubt, like, does she not want me, or what was me? I'm like, wait a minute, remember, you're either the victim or the victor. So I embraced hey, I'm gonna be the victor of this, and she's gonna miss me, the wifey, and my kids though need me more than ever. So I bucked down and I got after it, and and it's been a while because I've had a lot of adversities thrown me. I've told Rock, I've survived 3 house fires in my life. So the first one you heard about, but there's 2 others there. The thing after the divorce, I go get my new house. I get it all furnished there. I got my kids there. And unbeknownst to me, on Sunday morning, I'm making breakfast. One of my kids accidentally knocks over a candle, and it destroys my house again. So think about this. It's almost like Groundhog Day happening again. Okay, except I'm up in my, my 40s here going through all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, everything I know is consumed in this fire. And thankfully I got my kids out and stuff. But, I was like playing all these stories, why does this keep happening to me? Why am I having all these challenges? Why has my wife left me? Why am I having all this challenge in business? And that was in 2008. And anybody recognize 2008 and 9? Those were fun times to be in.
Great time. You loved it.
Real estate profession that we call our deal. So, but I went through and doubled down again. And as I, would have one door closed, two more would open. And so out of the challenge of that, I really had to buck down. And my wife at the time, who divorced me now, she thought, I was being a horrible dad, because why you put the kids through this situation? You almost killed them in the fire. I'm like, oh my God. And so
Right.
having all this challenge there, and then just fighting just to keep my kids, keep the custody of my kids. I had to really get skinny on my business. And, here I'm rebuilding a house and only have my builder go bankrupt during '08. And my new house after the fire is lost at a bank, kind of own deal. And I had to really get through a lot of challenges. But what I would always say to you is, in the darkest of times, there's always a little bit of light. And what you need to do is embrace that little bit of light. And I had some wonderful people in my life. And so what it really got me is the muscle of gratitude. So every morning from that day on, I'm like, hey, I'm still alive. I'm alive for a reason. I may only have the shirt on my back, which I did, but everything got lost in fire again. And I said, but I have my aptitude. I have my full, I can do this real estate gig, and I'm really good at it. And, just give perspective on it. I've been doing real estate now 20 years, over 1,800 families helped. So I've done it pretty well over the years and continue to do it. And it's allowed me some economic success. But through like 2011 through now, I've had the kids full time. So single dad, full custody, and just had to figure stuff out. But when you have a strong enough why, a red hot why, you figure out the how. I don't know if that connected with anybody, but if you have a strong enough why, in this case, it was my kids. I got to keep my kids fed. I got to keep my kids with a roof over their head. I got to have enough money coming in here, because there is no ex-wife. There was no support or anything like that. She just came to me, a couple of days before Christmas, which is kind of wild how Christmas keeps coming into my, significant moments of life. She called me Christmas Eve in 2011 and said, I know I've been fighting you. I know I've been a horrible ex to you and stuff, but I want to tell you something. You are the best guy I could have ever had these kids with, and I want you to raise them. And if you will do that, I won't fight you, and I'll give you full custody. And it was a moment of my life where I was like, heck yeah, I want this. And I'm like, oh shit, what do I just sign up for? Because everybody knows, hey, real estate's commission sales, dude. There's no guarantee of a commission. There's no guarantee of a paycheck. There's no health security. If you notice, there's no health insurance for real estate agents.
Right.
There's no retirement. You got to make your own insurance. You got to make your own retirement. So I said, what do I just sign up for? Because they were still little back in 11. They were like 6, 7, 9. It was just a moment where I was like, I got to get this figured out. And I built up a team. I built up support. I got really deep in my coach. When my coach said to do, an event, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I didn't even ask. Okay. I didn't like, well, that won't work in Dallas, Texas or something like that. I would just saying, hey, man, if he says to do it, I'm going to do it. And all of a sudden my success, I started getting really good at it. And, 50, 70, 100 deals a year closed and getting top rewards and stuff. But I never really let it get to my head. I always said, I'll never forget where I came from. And even this morning, man, I was like, man, I'm so grateful for Brock, and I'm so grateful for you guys there. Grateful for D. We get to meet these wonderful people in our pathways. And sometimes they're there for 3 minutes. Sometimes they're there for 3 days. Sometimes they're there for 3 years. And sometimes they're there for life. Where is this relationship going to take you? And then who have you not said thank you or been grateful for that is significant and near and dear to you? And I would challenge everybody on this: before you go to bed tonight, before your head hits a pillow, there's got to be at least 3 people in your life that you say, hey, man, I love you. I appreciate you. I have been remiss to tell you how much you mean to me. That gratitude has kept me through even in the darkest of times.
Amen, man. Yeah, it is.
Thanks,
When
Chad.
I knew 100% when I heard your story, and literally every person who's been on here Friday has said these words, and I've been saying it myself. And for those that know part of my story and everything else, but it started coming out to figure it out Friday, because the theme was like every person who's on here on Fridays, we had to figure it out. We don't know. We don't have like, all right, what's the okay? 3 kids before Christmas Eve. Let me go to the playbook here and let me share what I'm supposed to do. Like,
Yeah.
you just figure it out somehow, some way in life that it's going to hit you, and
Yeah.
we don't have the playbook except sometimes people say, and I hear this, and it's hard because when we say like my kids are my why, and you say your kids are your why. See, not just because you have kids doesn't make them your why,
Mhm.
because there has to be a reason behind the why of the kids and what they mean to you, because there's a story behind it, what you're
Yeah.
going through. Not every, like, it's like my kids aren't my why, Brock. I mean, they don't have to be. Everybody has their own why. But the biggest challenge that I'm going to say to everybody here is you got to figure out what your why is. You got to figure out what your reasons are to be able to get your tail out of bed. What gets you here at 8:50 in the morning? I mean, hell, James, you're in Texas. You're an hour difference. All right.
Yep.
There's another guy in here that's an hour difference.
Yep.
So that is important, because you're like, all right, I got to get myself rocking and rolling. James, we got about a minute left here with
Yep.
with things going on. Okay, we all know I've had conversations across the board. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. It's like more and more deals are falling apart. Interest rates are going up. Inflate, like, that is the biggest. It's really not even interest rates, to be honest with you guys. It's the inflation of
Yeah.
society using their credit card because they don't have any more money. Okay, if you ask people how much you have on their credit card, they won't tell you the answer, because I guarantee they're embarrassed to tell you their answer,
Yep.
because they've had to use their credit card more and more, and it's going to get worse. As you throw
Yep.
holidays into the mix, because people don't want to be embarrassed. Like, well, I'm not going to, I have to give gifts because I don't want people to think I'm poor. So they
Yep.
rather hide it on their credit card and look at it later. And that's why February, March is going to be a disaster. But what do you say to people on here on a mindset type of thing that you would leave with?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there too. I had over $350,000 in credit card debt, so I'm first to say, 20 cards all maxed out there. I was doing payroll on credit cards just to keep the doors open and stuff, dude. But hey, we've been here before. We could do it. We did then. We can do it again. Okay, and this too shall pass. That's what I also tell people.
Absolutely.
This too shall pass. Now it's a matter of how you want to approach that. You want to be the victim or the victor again, remember? And so to me, I look at this as opportunity. Katie, bar the doors. More people are ever hurting. More people are ever need our help. We are the trusted professional. It's time. We're going into war, men and boys and girls. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is wartime, okay? The missiles have gone and been fired, okay? We have to go take the tap to them, and I mean, in a bit of sincerity, is that, we are charged to do great stuff in this life. Else we wouldn't be here. Okay. And I take that charge on seriously. Like, my goal is to do 1,000,000 pairs of shoes for 1,000,000 pairs of feet. Okay.
That's
So
awesome.
that's not a small goal. So, and I'm a little bit on the way, but I got a whole lot more to do. The only way I'm going to do that is if I get in my routines and get my business going every single day. Like, I got up at 0400 hours this morning. Okay. I've already hit my workout. I've already did the gym. I've already had my smoothies. I've already done my meditation, my gratitude exercise. I've listened to podcasts. I've read some good insights there. Where your energy is going to go these next 3, 6, 9 months is where you put the focus on. So where your focus goes, your energy flows. What are you going to focus on these next 3, 6, 9 months there? To me, opportunities abound in every single recession, boys and girls. There's always been more millionaires come out of every single one. Okay. Some of the biggest companies that are around today, Apple, Netflix, I mean, you just name it, Airbnb and stuff, all came out of recessions, every single one. Okay. Yes, it's time to belt tighten. It's time to get serious. You don't like where you're at? Hello. Then who put that cheesecake in your pie hole? You got to get after it, dude. I was doing stuff this morning I didn't want to do. I was doing weight. I didn't want to move, but I knew if I didn't do my deal and get my little butt going, then I couldn't come up here and tell you guys that, I got all the answers. Please. No. And the other thing I would tell you guys do is don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mhm.
Nothing great in life was done by one person. It was always a collective effort. That's why I said, hey, we're going into men and women, we're going into war. So who is on your platoon? Who can you lean into? You got this amazing platform. Brock's put this together. He's taken his time and resources and organized this. And guys, to get on this thing and then, yeah, he's right. Who can I talk to today? And when I talk to him, before you talk to him, think of three things you're grateful for. I got appointments today for people that I am so pumped up to see today. And guess what? When I show up on that appointment, I'm not just showing up, I'm going to mail it in. I'm a freaking, hey, man, Chris, it's so good to see you. Oh my God. I love your style. You're so tenacious. You're an amazing businesswoman. And I want to be like you and when you approach your conversation, you approach this exchanges, and even it's just the barista at the Starbucks or something like, dude, somebody's having a little challenge day. Hey, man, you're doing a great job, man. Appreciate how quick you got this, the food out to us today. Or, man, have you ever thought about getting a real estate? Because this is an awesome time to be selling real estate, brother.
I
So
love it, man. I love it. Guys, please make sure you give them a thumbs up, share them with some love, put it in the comments for them. While they're doing that, James, don't forget to put your contact information in the chat. I'll
betcha.
attach it to the Facebook there. So if you guys want to reach out to him, share with us how you reach out to him. If you got people in in his hometown there, if you got people in Dallas, send him some referrals, send him some any business. But man, I appreciate you sharing your story. I appreciate your
Sure.
message. I appreciate your inspiration. I appreciate your vulnerability. Thank you all for being on here today. It was great to have you all on here. For those that watch it in review, thank you so much, and feel free to share your comments, your love, your likes. James just put his information into the chat. I'll add it
I'm also going to
into.
put a little nonprofit there too,
Yeah,
because
man.
there's a ton of need there, and any amount donated, all goes to go buy new shoes for kids and boys and girls. And last weekend we helped 50 families, dude, where I took care of mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, boys, girls, and it was over 350 pairs of shoes that we donated just last Saturday. And I'm seeing these pictures coming across, dude, and the smiles in the face. And I said, you know what? I remember I was a 6-year-old boy, how that felt to get those pair of new Converse. And so I'm getting to pay it forward. And if you got any means, man, we'd love your help and support, brother and sister. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for letting me share a little bit with you.
Thanks, James. Appreciate everybody being on here, guys. Happy Friday to you. We'll be back again on Monday at 8:15 Eastern time. Guys, love you all. Thank you for all being on here. Love you, James. Thanks, man, for being here. Guys, have a great weekend. Be safe out there. We'll talk to everybody soon. See ya.